Namaste and welcome back to your mat. If you are new here, my name is Jillian, and today's class is all about awareness. In every pose and every transition, try to be aware of how your body feels, aware of what your breath feels like. And this will create a beautiful mind-body connection that will guide you through your class. You just need a mat and maybe a block or a firm pillow for this class. And once you're ready, we'll get started laying in savasana on your mat. Your toes falling out to the sides. Scan up your body. Notice your knees and your hips opening up to the sky. Feel your chest lift on your inhale and sink a little heavier on your exhale. Your fingers slightly curl in, and your head rests softly on your mat. Letting go of your to-do list for the day or for the week, just you on your mat. Now drop your right ear to the mat. Bring your gaze over to the right and feel a little stretch in the left side of the neck. Deep breath in and smooth exhale out. Bring your head back to center and drop it over to the other side, left ear towards the mat. Deep breath in here. Exhale, let it go. Bring your head back up to neutral and notice what your neck feels like. Bring your feet together at the bottom of your mat and then hug your right leg in towards your chest. You can wrap your hands around your shin or your hamstring, whatever is more accessible here. And notice a slight compression into your right hip. Notice an opening sensation, a gentle stretch in the glutes coming into the right hamstring. Pay attention to what the left leg feels like. Is your left knee slightly lifting off the ground? Is there an opening sensation across the left hip? Breathing in and breathing out. Drop your right leg back down to the mat. Pause. And then bring the left leg in towards your chest, finding whatever is comfortable here. And scan over your body. Notice the sensation in the left leg, the glute, the hip, and then bringing the attention to the right leg. Notice if your shoulders are lifting off of the mat. Try to relax them down. Relax your fingers and let go of your leg. Step both feet to the mat and curl over into a fetal position, hugging your knees into your chest. Breathing into your back body, feeling your ribs expand and lift. And exhaling, sinking heavy into your mat. Extend your legs long and roll onto your belly with your palms underneath your shoulders. Resting your forehead to the mat. Press the tops of your feet into the mat. We'll inhale, peel a couple of ribs off of the mat, lifting your chest. Exhaling to lower back down. Inhale to rise back up, maybe a rib or two more. Exhale, lower back down. Inhale to lift, maybe floating the palms this time, squeezing the elbows back. Exhaling to lower. Inhale and hold it here. Squeeze the elbows, press into the tops of the feet, engage the legs, squeeze the core, full belly breaths, and relax back down onto the mat. Press the palms into the mat and sit back into a child's pose, reaching your hips towards your heels. Pull yourself into a tabletop position, bringing your knees under your hips and your hands under your shoulders. Empty out your lungs and inhale, lower the belly to the floor. Lift the gaze. Exhale, round the back, bring your gaze towards your belly button and press your tailbone forward. Inhale. And exhale. Move slowly with your breath here, moving through a couple more cat-cows, and really pay attention to any sensations in your spine. Become aware of your spine, not just it moving up and down, but pay attention to each vertebrae as you bend forward and press your shoulder blades up on your exhale. The bottom of your next exhale, return to neutral. Shift your knees back a little bit and start to draw circles with your hips. Dropping your chest, maybe lifting it. Switching directions. There's no real right or wrong way to do this pose, just listening to your body, to what feels good. Starting to wake up the hips and the spine. Tuck your toes under now here and lift the hips for your first downward dog. Take your time, bend your knees as much as you need. Step up to the top of your mat, halfway lift with a flat back. Exhale to fold, round the back, bend the knees and let the head fall. Inhale to rise up, sweep the arms overhead, palms touch. Exhale to heart center. Inhale, reach the hands up. Exhale to fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, plant the palms. We step back to plank. You can choose to modify by dropping the knees or lowering down. Keep the elbows to your sides, chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog or baby cobra to modify. Roll over the toes and push into your downward dog. Notice your breath, notice your heart. Breathe. Bend the knees, step to the top of the mat, halfway lift. Exhale to fold. Inhale to rise up. And on your exhale, sink your hips low, open your arms, cactus. Inhale, we rise back up. Palms touch overhead and straighten the legs. Exhale, coming right back into it. Pressing the elbows back behind you, squeeze the legs together. Inhale, lift. Maybe opening the heart, bending into the back a little bit here. Exhale, you sink right back down. Move through a couple more of these, engaging the core, keeping the back nice and straight. Keep opening across the heart, the collarbones, the chest. Place your hands onto your hips and exhale, we'll fold with a flat back. Bring your hands to touch the mat. Rounding the back, bending the knees, let your belly rest on your thighs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the palms, step back to your own plank and lower down through your chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale. Float back into your downward dog, coming over the toes and pedaling it out. Notice your body here. And step your right toes to the top of your mat. Left foot is pointing 45 degrees. Squeeze your core, rise up and lunge into the front leg. Warrior 1. Step it out to warrior 2. Back foot is parallel to the back of your mat. Lunge a little bit deeper. Maybe closing the eyes and embrace the sensation into your right leg. Press it to the outside of the left foot. And then drop the hands back onto the hips, straighten the right leg and point the toes to the long side of your mat. Keep your core engaged, flat back, hinge forward, wide-legged forward fold. And stop at the first point of sensation. Don't quite find your edge yet here. Take a breath. And then maybe move a little bit further past. Going a little bit deeper, bring the weight into the toes. Maybe dropping the hands to the ground. Experiment here. You can use a block to support yourself. You can drop your head to the mat if you have that flexibility in you today. But just let go of what your ego wants this pose to look like. Tune into the sensation in your hamstrings and allow your body to just be. Walk your hands over to your left foot now and step back to your plank, moving through your chaturanga. Inhaling, upward dog. Exhaling, coming over the toes, pressing your hips up for downward facing dog. Pausing here. And then stepping the left foot back up between your palms, step your right toes to 45 degrees and lift the chest, warrior 1. Setting up your left leg, making sure your knee isn't creeping over your ankle. Opening up to warrior 2, step the right foot back to parallel to the back of your mat. Open your arms up to the sides. Pull your upper body in line with your hips and lunge a little deeper. Maybe close the eyes this time. Really feel the strength, the courage in your body. Squeeze the core. Embrace the discomfort. Place your hands to your hips, straighten the leg, turn to face the wide side of your mat, and then sink the hips down, bending the knees for goddess pose. Point the toes a little bit more out to the outsides of your mat and away from your center. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead, straighten the legs. Exhale, come right back into it, dropping the arms to your sides. Maybe finding a mudra here. Inhale to reach the arms up. Exhale, dropping the hands, palms face up. We're actively pressing the knees away here when we come into the goddess squat. So it's easy to have the knees creeping forward, but keep trying to open them out to the sides. This is really strengthening the hips, the glutes. We'll now place our hands onto our hips and turn to face the right side of the mat. Drop the hands down and step back to your plank. Move through your chaturanga. Maybe challenging yourself with upward dog this time. Then tucking the toes under, lift the hips, downward dog. Drop the knees down here and find a child's pose. Opening the knees to the sides of the mat and sink your hips towards your heels. Take a few deep belly breaths here. And when you're ready, press yourself up into a seated position and sit your hips down onto the mat with your legs in front of you. Give yourself a breath and cross the right leg over the left leg, just underneath the left knee. For seated pigeon pose here. You can use your hands behind you as a kickstand. And close the eyes and relax into this pose. If at any time you'd like to move a little bit deeper here, you can shift your left foot a little bit closer towards your hip. Coming into a twist here, extend the left leg, drop the right foot to the ground. Inhale, reach the left arm up and twist over to the right. You can hug the knee if the bind is too much. And slowly start to come out of this, dropping the right leg down to the outside, bringing your right foot to the inside of the left thigh for Janu Sirsasana. First, keeping this active, pull the toes towards the face, engage the leg so much so your left knee is almost lifting off the ground. Keep the shoulders pulled back and the back nice and straight. Inhale. And exhale, make this passive. Relax the toes, round the back, and let the head fall heavy. Use your hands to slowly walk yourself back up. Keep bringing your hands behind you and let your head fall back. A little counter pose here. Notice any sensations coming up. Reach the left arm overhead, root down to the right leg, and lift your hips. Breathe open across the abdomen and the chest. And very slowly come back down. Bring the soles of each feet together for butterfly pose. Hinge from the hips, round forward. Feeling a little stretch in the inner thighs. Breathing nice and slow here. Use your hands to close your legs back up. And we'll take it to the other side, crossing the left leg over the right thigh for your seated pigeon. Again, finding whatever variation here works for you. You can walk the foot a little bit closer towards you, maybe walking the hands a little bit further back. Being present in the moment, in the pose, with your breath. Come into the twist now on this side, stepping the left foot to the outside of the right leg, lifting the right arm up and twisting over to the left. You could find the bind with the right elbow to the outside of the left leg, or you can hug the leg. Feeling the breath entering your lungs, even though your abdomen is a little bit compressed here. Come back to center. Bring the left leg to the inside of the right leg. First, keeping this active, hinging forward with a flat back. Pulling the toes towards the face. Lifting the knee off the ground, keeping the leg engaged. And then rounding the back, letting the head be heavy. Feeling the hamstrings slowly open up here. Start to lift yourself up, bringing your hands behind you. Open across the heart for the counter pose, noticing the sensations. Ground down through the left shin and start to sweep the right arm up overhead. Lift the hips, pressing your abdomen and hips up to the sky. Opening up here, deep breaths. Exhale to sweep it back down. Come right into your butterfly pose, bringing your toes and heels to touch. Keep lifted here for a couple of breaths. Pull the shoulders back. Press the knees into the mat. A few more breaths, sitting in awareness in the present moment. And close your knees together, and we're going to roll onto our backs in Shavasana, but make sure that you have your block handy and nearby. Moving mindfully even through the transitions onto our back. Take a breath. Inhale. Exhale, sigh it out. Hug both knees in towards your chest, wrapping your hands around your shins or your hamstrings. And then grab for the outsides of each foot for happy baby. Starting with the knees really bent here, and eventually working your way, starting to press the bottoms of your feet towards the sky, bringing your knees out to the sides. If you notice your shoulders or hips lifting off of the ground, bend the knees a little bit more. Moving side to side, maybe adding a little bit of rocking sensation, massaging out the low back. And when you're ready, release the feet, give yourself a big hug, round the back, lift the chest, and bring your nose to your knees. Slowly release it, step your feet to the mat, and grab your block, lift your hips, and place it underneath your sacrum. It might take a little bit of adjusting here to find that sweet spot. And when you do, place your right hand on your belly and your left hand on your heart. And one at a time, extend each leg up to the sky. If you notice the block is pinching your tailbone here, step your feet back down to the ground and shift it around a little bit, and then come back into this pose. So ideally, you want to find that sweet spot where you're getting the massage into the low back, but your legs are also just floating in the air. You can add some movement, circling your legs, scissoring them forward and back, side to side. You can roll out the ankles, wiggle the toes, point and flex the feet, whatever feels good here. You can float in stillness. Just be present and notice the sensations in your body. One at a time, step your feet back down to the mat, lift your hips and remove the block and set it off to the side. Extend your legs one at a time to the corners of your mat for your final pose, Shavasana. Sometimes one of the most difficult poses, especially when it comes to awareness, to just being present. Not thinking about what's happening after. Just you and your mat for your last few moments, absorbing all the benefits of your practice. Feel free to stay here for as long as you'd like. You can pause the video. Otherwise, roll onto your right side, find a fetal position, and lift yourself to seated. Bring your hands to heart center. The light in me sees and acknowledges the light in you and knows that they are the same. Namaste.